Hi everybody, and welcome to this video which covers the working memory model. This is part of the cognitive psychology topic for Stage 1 psychology. Let's get started. So the working memory model is an extension of the short-term memory store that the modal model of memory proposes. So it's just a more in-depth model that really looks at how our short-term memory store works. So it's in addition to the STM, which has separate systems for visual information and auditory information. So it proposes that people have a separate system to process visual information, which is called the visuospatial sketchpad, from what is used in processing auditory information or information we hear. That's using the phonological loop. So these two systems are managed by the central executive, which allocates memories to one of the systems. So this explains why people are able to listen to one stimulus while also taking in visual information, but it's much more difficult to listen to two stimuli at the same time and make sense of both. So in other words, we can look at and hear pieces of information simultaneously, but if we have too much information that is being bombarded, all right, so our visuospatial sketchpad and our phonological loop are receiving conflicting information, or there's two things being played at once, all right, that we're trying to listen to, it's going to be far harder to process. So let's look at the sections of the working memory model. We have our central executive. So this replaces the sensory buffer from the multi-store model or the modal model of memory. So it directs attention to certain tasks based on the mode of which the information is being presented to us. We then have our phonological loop. It is limited in its capacity, like the short-term memory store. This deals with auditory information, both written and verbal, so what we hear. Now the visuospatial sketchpad is limited in capacity as well. Its visual and spatial information is stored here, so the visuals and appearance and the visual information that we see. We also have the visual cache, which is things that look like in terms of its form and its color and its shape. We then have our inner scribe, which is movement and spatial information. So how a certain object, for example, will move, all right, and be directed. Now the episodic buffer links the verbal and spatial and auditory together. So it links information with time to create the memory of a story or an event based on the information that we are being presented, if it is obviously episodic. However, our phonological loop and visuospatial sketchpad will process the semantic memories based on what we see and what we hear, what we read, etc. So I hope you found this video useful. As always, if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out and let me know. Otherwise, happy revising.